Con Knipple's throwing passes behind his head. Everybody on the team scoring points. The Hornets are in the playoffs, and the best part about it, it's a Friday episode here on Hornets Daily. Welcome in to your one-stop shop for all things Charlotte Hornets. As always, we're presented by Fan Arc, and I'm your host, Vance Ballard. But you know by now, the good people out there, they call me VB. Once again, welcome everybody into today's show. Thanks for joining, watching along with us. Be sure, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Leave a like and a comment down in the comments section. We've had a good time this week diving into the chat. We'll continue to do that here and as we progress through our episodes on Hornets Daily. Speaking of episodes, got a lot of buzz happening in the Queen City. A decently busy episode for you today. The Hornets get a big win on Thursday out in Las Vegas over the San Antonio Spurs. We'll talk about that blowout win and what it may mean, or what it does mean now, we know, going forward in the Summer League for the Hornets. Collin Sexton has continued to get some love and praise across the internet. He talked about his side of the budding relationship with LaMelo Ball and what he thinks about the two playing on the court together. We'll talk about that interview as well. We'll get into the chat. I asked a question yesterday, who do you guys think is the next domino to fall in this roster purge? Got some good answers from you guys and a couple other interesting thoughts to go along with that conversation. We'll take a look at those as well. Speaking of rosters, I've got a question to lead us into the weekend since it is a Friday show here. Does the NBA roster, is there optimism there? We'll talk about what the actual question is. I'll elaborate more towards the end of the show. If you know anything about us here on Hornets Daily, if you've been watching along, you know we don't do beating around the bush. So we like to jump right into it, and that's exactly what we're going to do here today. Let's get to it, folks. The Hornets moved to 4-0 out in Las Vegas last night, a resounding victory over the San Antonio Spurs, 106-81. A blowout, much needed blowout victory, as the Hornets needed at least a 21-point win to clinch themselves a playoff spot out in Vegas and not have to rely on anything or anyone else. And they were able to go out and get that victory by that margin and then some in what was a dominating performance on both ends of the floor, specifically defense. Fantastic defensive performance from everyone involved. Everybody that stepped on the floor made their presence felt on the defensive end. The Hornets held the Spurs under 20 points in 2 of the 4 quarters on Thursday night. They also held San Antonio to just 34% shooting from the field, 31% from 3. They grabbed 12 steals as a team and forced a total of 18 turnovers. That is a recipe for success anytime you step out on the floor. But it wasn't just defense. The offense played well. It was an onslaught from the second quarter on, and the Hornets did not look back, scoring 34 points in that second quarter. 6 players scored in double figures on Thursday night, being led by Con Kniple and KJ Simpson, both with 19 points apiece. They actually had mirroring stat lines, 19 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists. Con did have 2 steals to KJ's just 1, but both of them made their impact felt from the jump and did not let up the entire game. KJ said that the team in a press conference or in a interview during the game, that the team knew exactly what was at stake. They knew they had to win and win big, and they wanted to do so. They came out and accomplished that goal. It made it look relatively easy. It was a lot of hard work, but with the blowout, they made that win look pretty easy. Again, Con Kniple tonight absolutely shined. He played like a number 4 overall draft pick. 19 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals. He was everywhere and then some. Also did a nice job answering the question, kind of alleviating the concerns we've had since him sitting out the second game with a right ankle injury. Did not have to do that tonight, as he was able to play deep into the game. He was on the floor, as a matter of fact, well after it was quote-unquote over late in the game. Kniple played 29 total minutes a nice sight to see, as there was some concern about a potential injury. It does appear Khan is healthy and thriving. Again, Damon Baugh, MJ Walker, and PJ Hall also in double figures. 18 points for Baugh, 13 for Walker, 11 for PJ Hall. Baugh's best performance of the summer by a long shot. He had been struggling. He's been on the receiving end of some criticism from Hornets Nation throughout this Vegas trip for the team. He had, again, 18.7 rebounds, 6 assists, 3 steals, and he hit 4 threes tonight. So he was a big part of this victory, his best performance, again, of the summer, as he tries to make his name, or keep his name in the running, and doesn't lose the two-way contract that he's already on, as that is definitely a possibility. There's a third two-way contract floating around out there for Charlotte, and if it doesn't have PJ Hall's name on it already, it definitely should after tonight. Again, Hall a double-figure scorer for the Hornets off the bench, 8 rebounds and 4 blocks to go along with it. He was incredibly impressive on both ends of the floor. Had a thunderous dunk on the offensive end to really wake the whole entire crowd up. Got the announcers going a little bit as well. I came out of the recliner for it. PJ Hall has had a great summer. He's averaging 7.7 points per game, 4 rebounds, and 1 block in just 11 minutes played out in Vegas. Again, if his name wasn't already on one of those two-way contracts, I definitely think that it should be after tonight. Now, we talked here on the show. I said in our preview show on Thursday that I wanted to see a little bit more out of Kalkbrenner. Wanted to see him be more aggressive, as he was probably going to get some favorable matchups, since the Spurs do not like to run Ibrahima Diallo for a lot of minutes. And that, again, was the case. Kalkbrenner played 21 minutes tonight. Didn't play badly by any means. He filled the paint nicely. Only scored 9 points on 4 of 7 shooting. Didn't take a 3. Had 5 rebounds, but no blocks. But again, he was in the way. His size, his presence was felt in the paint tonight. I thought he played a little bit better, but I do still want to see just a little bit more of that aggressiveness that I've been talking about, of that paint presence for a longer, more consistent amount of time. I just want to see him dominate. I want to see if that's in there for Kalkbrenner, and he's shown glimpses and flashes of it, and I think I have definitely, throughout these 4 games, grown to become more optimistic that he will develop that dominator feeling or presence about him as time goes on. It's just going to be now a matter of, does he have that time with the limited big men on the roster in Charlotte so far. Speaking of the roster in Charlotte, Collin Sexton is a member of it, and he is receiving a lot of praise as of late. Again, we mentioned the summer starting to slow down in terms of activity, really just summer league. So now everybody around the NBA world can kind of take a look at what actually took place and what moves were good and what weren't. The Hornets receiving a lot of praise for all of theirs. We talked yesterday about Peterson receiving specific praise for the Collin Sexton deal. Now it's Collin Sexton himself receiving the praise and the flowers for what he's done so far in his short time in Charlotte in terms of being a teammate and making an impact on those around him. Sexton received a feature piece in the Charlotte Observer. He spoke with Rod Boone from the Charlotte Observer. So we got the from his mouth side of the relationship that's being built between him and LaMelo. It does appear that Sexton is doing everything right and already has a very early connection with not just LaMelo, but everyone on the team. We saw him sitting courtside with LaMelo and Miles Bridges against the Jazz out in Vegas. He was mic'd up, cheering everybody on. He stayed after to congratulate every member of the Hornets team on the win. So it seems like just right off the bat, Sexton is a fantastic teammate. And Boone kind of raved and spoke some more about that in his article as well. Sexton, when asked about playing with LaMelo and the trouble of one guard, two guard, who's going to be what, this, that, and the other, Sexton said, at the end of the day, the NBA is whoever gets it brings it up. LaMelo and I are both out there, and that was just that. That's the mindset that Sexton is taking is it's not a position necessarily, one or two. They're both on the floor and going to have to play together off of each other. He's already talked about how him and LaMelo have been practicing. He's been figuring out LaMelo's game. Okay, he likes to shoot it here. He likes to get it there. Something, again, just another check mark in the box of Collin Sexton being a good teammate and wanting to be here in Charlotte and build that relationship with the other players and the other stars around him on the team. The two are also already talking about how they can help each other on defense in terms of if LaMelo needs to drop down in the paint, can Collin Sexton fill in a spot here? That's one of the comments he made. Just the discussions and the film watching that they've already been doing to figure out how they can play off of with each other on the defensive end of the floor as well as the offensive end. We know both of their offensive games top tier in the NBA, but it's going to be interesting to see what they can do on the other end of the floor, and it seems like they're going to try and work to make it as best they can already here this summer. Sexton said at the end of the article he finished with, "I'm super excited in terms of being here in Charlotte and being ready to play this season." So obviously he hasn't been talking to Playoff P very much as of late. Little joke there. Going back to what Paul George had to say on his podcast in reference to his career being over and the Hornets not having a winning culture. My thoughts on that, I gave those in an earlier episode. Kind of laughable from Playoff P there, but I digress. We dive into the chat as I was mentioning about yesterday. I asked the question, who do you guys think is going to be the next domino to fall? We saw Okogie be waived earlier in the week. Now my question was, who's going to be next? How is that next domino going to fall? Is it going to be another player getting waived? A package deal of players sent out to bring somebody in? We got some answers from you guys. Dwayne Kelly said, quote, "Let Plumlee go, but keep PJ Hall. He's big, strong, and tough." And Dwayne has obviously been impressed by him this summer. I'm sure after tonight's game, he only feels stronger about that. Mr. Lucky 704 said he thinks that teams know the Hornets need to dump some guys, so the trades are going to be a little more difficult as they're just going to sit around and wait for the cuts to happen. He thinks Daquan Jeffries is the next wave. That's interesting. I don't necessarily disagree. He's certainly on that list of guys who are iffy, if not leaning towards no longer being on the team come regular season. Mr. Lucky does agree with me on trading for a defender, something I've been raving about really since we started this podcast a few weeks ago. I've been standing on the table saying it not only needs to be a big man, but it needs to be a big man who can play defense. So we're on the same page there for sure. He also said that Nick Smith Jr., Seth Curry, and Damon Baugh are all on the chopping block. In his opinion, they're either out via being waived or traded. And he too wants to keep PJ Hall. So we're all in agreement on the PJ Hall thing. He has impressed not only me, but other members of Hornets Nation and the fan base as well. I told you he's had a great summer. I don't think he's not showing any signs of slowing down. I think a two-way deal, him and Greensboro bouncing up into the NBA when needed, could be an important piece for the Hornets going forward. And if he turns into an NBA player in the long term, already having him here in Charlotte to do that would be even more beneficial. Now, I do agree, Curry, Baugh, Nick Smith Jr., they're probably on the way out, even though despite the game that Baugh had on Thursday, I don't know if that's enough based on what other players around him have done this summer league. Daquan Jeffries, too, feels like a guy who may be on his way out. But I don't necessarily know if I agree about the trades, just because, yes, I agree that teams do know the Hornets need to cut guys. The roster purge that I've mentioned a couple times, it is inevitable. It's got to happen. But I still think that this front office is smart enough to, if they want to figure out a way to work out a trade to not have to waive guys, they can still. We've seen it with the move out in Utah for Collin Sexton. They know how to work around issues and call the right teams who are looking to maybe unload certain guys who could be important pieces to the Hornets team. So I'm not certain if I agree that trading is out of the question per se, but you're right, it will be a little more difficult in that regard for sure. Again, thank you everyone for playing along there, joining us in the chat. We appreciate all the interaction and the good conversations that we get to have here on Hornets Daily. Now, we've been talking playoffs today, and we'll continue to do so, but I want to talk more now about the ones that come after 82 games and not just 4 regular season games. That is, I want to talk about the real NBA playoffs. Based on what we've seen so far this summer league, the optimism 4-0, I know I preface all the time. I'll say it again here on this episode. We know in Charlotte we take the summer league record with a grain of salt. It is not always indicative of the regular season to come. But with the new pieces that have been added to the roster, with the potential of a healthy Brandon Miller and a healthy LaMelo Ball for a whole season, plus the way Con Knipples looked in his last 2 summer league performances, if Liam McNeely can be healthy and come into this rotation, does this roster give you guys out there enough optimism? Do we think that the Hornets are an NBA playoff-ready roster right now? Now, I know there's also had to factor in the fact that the East is as depleted as we've seen it in a long time. It's a prime opportunity for the Hornets to be ready to make the playoffs. I want to ask, over the weekend, we'll know what's going to happen in the Summer League by the time we speak again on Monday, as the playoffs take place Saturday and Sunday. So we'll know about that. We'll talk about it on Monday, but I want to hear your answer to this question as well. Do you think the Hornets NBA roster right now, as it sits or as it's projected, whoever you think may be on it, is that a playoff roster? My answer personally, I think with the East being where it is, it's absolutely a playoff roster right now. I think if we can get that season out of LaMelo and Brandon Miller, where both of them are healthy, Miles Bridges being Miles Bridges, a few bright spots so far from the Summer League team to Jean Salon, if he can continue to develop and become a legitimate piece in the NBA, if the rookies can fall in and maybe all combine to be kind of a real piece between Knipple, McNeely, Kalkbrenner, James, and then the additions Dinwiddie, Sexton. I think Sexton is going to be a huge part of this team. I've started to get away from he's part of he could be someone to be moved before the regular season. I think he is a Hornet and it's going to stay that way. He wants to be here, and I think the front office does too. So my opinion, my answer is yes, but I want to know what you guys think. Are the Hornets an NBA playoff ready roster right now? Like I said, that's going to be our weekend question. That's what's going to take us into the weekend, as that'll wrap things up here for this episode of Hornets Daily. Thanks, as always, for watching. Again, be sure to smash that subscribe button. Leave a like. Answer the question in the comment. Give me any other thoughts you may have in the comment section as well. Have a great weekend. We'll see you right back here on Hornets Daily